now we're going to go start creating a schema. So we're going to create a content model for each one of these pages. So essentially we have these big pages like contact, become a retailer, our brands, and our story. So each one of those is going to be a content model that has a single content entry. But each one's going to have a unique view. Each of these pages are different. So we're going to just jump into Zesty, and we're going to go into schema, and we're going to create a single with view, right? So the first one, we can just create contact us. I believe that's what it's named. Let's see. Contact us as it is. So I'm just going to hit create here. So this is now creating a content model, and in the editor it created a view that go along with this. So I'm going to add first the fields I want. It's going to have a title, which the title simply is just contact us over here. I'll close out this. It's going to have this office address and a link to an email. So I'm just going to add address here. I'm going to make this a text. Probably get away with making this a WYSIWYG, because then we can hot link the mail and we don't have to have more fields. And corporate office, honestly, that could be part of the WYSIWYG and these wonderful underscores as well. And then there's going to be this image, right? Let's call it background image and make sure we select the image field for that. Okay, so now we have our contact us content model. If we go into the editor, we're going to find a blank contact us view. So there's nothing in here. So we're going to view source here. I'm going to use the view source, so I'm not jumping into that inspector. And we'll see we have the Google Tag Manager, which we could actually just snag right now and put that into our loader and put that above. So Google Tag Manager wants to load right after the body. This loader is right when the body starts, so we're just going to save that. Just a little bonus piece of code real quick. And then below, we'll see that it starts, and like here's a great example. So Google Tag Manager is added twice here, and I don't know why. It looks like it's using a different ID, but again, like these are the things that you find out when you're like transferring a site. Is like it runs weird things are going to be in it. So for the time being, I'm going to add both of them. And you can see like it looks like something is adding information here, because it's got the ARIA tag on it. That's the assistive information. All right, so now we have this header, which we're going to ignore for now, but we're going to get into this, which is the main container. So we're essentially just going to copy out this main container, and it ends this section. So know where that section starts, and you could be dealing with bad HTML here too. So let's go on the contact us. We're going to paste this in. In Zesty, you can Command A for Command Alt, and then hold Shift and Tab, and it'll clean it up. This is good because it's an indicator that will show you like where the HTML is broken and missing. And it looks like we're missing a div here, right, and possibly another div. Maybe not. Let's just go like that. Doesn't look like it. Looks like we're missing a section tag. So maybe I missed I missed a div and a section and a double div before the footer starts. So there we go. That looks more right. All right, so we're going to save that. So we're going to preview the contact page. There's a couple ways we could do this. Let's just jump into content. Click contact us information. So we need to give it a title. So the title on the website there was contact us. Very straightforward. It's all caps. And then for this down here, we're going to copy this and see. Kind of copied the HTML there. I guess we'll just leave that as is for the time being. And the background image, we already uploaded all our media, so it's going to be this hand photo. Load, save. All right, now we have a preview URL. And since this information is the way it's going to be, we can publish it at this point. I mean, I might be changing the way this is shaped. It's funny how it copied, but so if we preview it, we're going to see kind of an empty shell here. And we're going to remember the CSS that linked to this photo, because this is done by CSS. We're going to have to update that reference in CSS. So wherever that reference is, we're going to need to go find it. So let's just jump into the editor. That was on this, looks like it's on this panel pane custom contact dash background. So let's dig in here and see if we can find it. This definitely is not ideal, but let's just see contact dash BG, sorry, contact dash BG. So it's not in there. Let's try 2 contact dash BG, and there it is. So we're going to need to replace this with the reference in Zesty. Fortunately, we have the little media tab right here, which we can check. Click this, and we're going to copy this and paste. So let's see, it's going to add the media URL from Zesty. While we're in here, we have the BNG header. I don't know if we copied all these. BNG header. We'll just replace them now while we're here. Right, so now these are going to be referencing links to the CDN. Zesty uses a CDN, so there's not a relative path. We have the picture of people here. I'm going to copy that. This one here. BNG our story, so our right here. And we have another reference to the contact us, which we will also paste in. This could be like a double reference. Ideally, you don't want to be working in minified CSS, but this is a transfer. This will probably get a facelift at some point. All right, so let's refresh, and now we see what we have. All right, so now we have a full page. Let's look at what we're doing here. We're in the middle of this, so we're creating content models. I kind of am mixing, pretty much doing this in a loop. So I'm going to change this and say create content models and pages till each is complete. And I'm going to make these because these are kind of subsets here. So we did our first one. Now we have the opportunity to like make sure the scaffolding, like the header and the footer, are correct. So we're going to do that right now. Let's close out some of these extra tabs. Again, I'm here. The best way for me to do this is I like looking at the source. I think it's easier to copy at this rate. If you remember, so like we started with main container. We're going to look, at least it's pretty clean, so it's wrapped in a header tag, which is nice. So in our loader, we had a bunch of Google Tag Manager stuffs and like external CDN scripts. We're going to create a what we call a snippet, and we're going to call it, I'm going to put underscore header. I like to add underscore just to keep them together. And I'm going to paste in my header, and I'll just clean it up using Zesty's little clean function just so I can read it easier. Okay, so we need to make sure this header loads in every page, and the loader loads for every page load. So we're going to type include underscore header. We're going to hit save. And let's move this into a different tab at this point. Okay, so you could see that it looks like we're missing some CSS because there's some jankiness happening. But that's good. So you can see that we have this one script. So at any time we edit this now, it's going to show on every page. And if we look at like the logo here, we need to hot link this logo globally. And this down here we should auto-generate as well. So this href good. So if I click here, it should go to the home page. The home page should have nothing on it really, which is good. And then you have our story brands become a retailer. We created the contact page here, so we could actually can link to where this page is. So we type contact us. We're going to go first because we can actually have multiples, and get URL. Since we're only having one, we can get away with typing first there. And that's going to hot link this to the right Zesty page, right? So we're starting to link up our navigation at this point. Okay. So let's jump and let's create a footer as well. underscore footer, and we're going to get a blank snippet. We're going to go back to our source, and we are going to just copy what I believe is the footer here. Again, this is all kind of janky looking, so we'll just clean it up. Looks good. Everything looks like it lines up. I'm going to hit save. But we still need to add it to the loader, right? Because it's not going to load in our Zesty site unless we tell the loader to load it. So wedge between current view. So current view here is what the view we're working on that's relative to the URL and the content item that we're viewing. So footer, and now we've pretty much sandwiched everything between that header and footer, no matter what. So there we go, header and footer. So if we look, we see header and footer. Obviously our styles, so we're missing some styles we need to go grab. So everything is now wedged between the header and the footer. What we do need to do is make sure that like things in the footer are tied up, and I'm just going to tidy up this HTML so it's more legible when you're editing in it. I mean, whatever system they were using before definitely just looked like it auto-generated it into whatever code they wanted to spit out. Which doesn't make things easy. The footer is also telling us too there's like a terms and security privacy page we're going to need. But for the contact us, we can just go like this. Type contact us because that's the name of the content model. We'll take the first one because there's only going to be one. And we can just say get URL. We can also copy this and change this title too. So instead of get URL, we can just type title. That's what we named it. So now all of a sudden the title is going to be dynamic and loading based upon what people type in. There's other options too, like meta link text. That's probably the one we want, because if we change the title to something long for SEO purposes, we probably don't want that loading in the footer. Okay, so let's just check, make sure that our contact us now, as you see, it's loading from what we put in, and it's a lowercase contact us. I'm going to change that in the header as well, just so we can show you how once you edit something in Zesty, it's going to update in multiple spots. So we'll do it first, and we're going to select meta link text, hit save, refresh, and we're going to get underscore, like camel case contact us. So let's just show you how we change that in the meta real quick. We're going to jump in the contact us over here, and notice like this is the title, which is all caps. There's something called meta, and this is the navigation link text. There's meta title 2. This is for the search engines, but this is the one we want to edit, and that's all caps contact. Very pretty. All right, refresh this. Now we have capital contact, and it's also following suit on the footer. And when you click it, it goes to the contact page. Great. So that concludes part 2. In part 3, we're going to continue working through content models and getting all the routing and the navigation together. So click on the part 3.